The history of the world's most famous monarchy has always been written not just in the grand declarations of state or the glitter of ceremonial pageantry, but in the quiet, tense spaces between family members who carry the immense weight of an ancient crown. For centuries, the British royal family has operated under a unique paradox, existing simultaneously as a public institution representing national identity and as a deeply private dynasty navigating the exact same vulnerabilities, rivalries, and emotional fractures as any ordinary household. Yet, when a rift opens within this particular family, the tremors are felt globally, dissecting the modern cultural landscape and captivating millions of onlookers who watch the silent chess match play out across headlines and palace gates. In recent years, the world has witnessed an unprecedented chapter in this ongoing saga, a period defined by sharp departures, stunning public revelations, and a profound geographical and emotional distance that many believed could never be bridged. The silence that followed these turbulent events has often been louder than the public statements themselves, leaving royal watchers and casual observers alike wondering if the fractures inside the House of Windsor had become permanent features of its modern legacy. Every subtle movement, every brief statement, and every unconfirmed rumor is analyzed with microscopic intensity, because beneath the surface of royal duty lies a human drama of epic proportions, filled with unresolved grievances and the painful reality of a family divided by a vast ocean and an even larger chasm of broken trust. As we stand on the precipice of what could be a historic turning point, it is essential to look beyond the immediate media frenzy and understand the deep atmospheric tension that has built up over years of separation, setting the stage for an encounter that could either completely redefine the modern monarchy or solidify its internal divisions for a generation to come. Before we dive into the intricate layers of this developing situation and reveal the unexpected shifts that are currently taking place behind the scenes, take a brief moment to ensure you are subscribed to our channel so that you never miss an update on these rapidly evolving global events that shape our understanding of history and culture. To fully comprehend the stakes of the current moment, one must first appreciate the heavy atmosphere of expectation that has settled over London and the wider Commonwealth, a palpable sense that a major historical resolution is looming just beyond the horizon. The narratives surrounding royal exiles and sudden homecomings are as old as the institution of the monarchy itself, stretching back to ancient times when princes and kings fought for legitimacy and peace within their own borders. In the contemporary era, however, this age-old drama is amplified by the unrelenting glare of modern media, where every gesture is scrutinized and every absence is treated as a profound statement of intent. For a long time, the public has been accustomed to a rigid status quo, a narrative of complete estrangement, where the main players seem to have settled into their respective, separate worlds with no intention of looking back. On one side of the Atlantic, the ancient machinery of the palace continued to grind forward, maintaining its traditions and weathering internal storms with a practiced, stoic silence that has defined its survival strategy for generations. On the other side, a new path was being forged, one characterized by modern independence, financial freedom, and a deliberate effort to create an entirely separate identity away from the stifling constraints of institutional life. This delicate equilibrium, however, was never destined to last forever, because the biological and emotional ties that bind a father and his children cannot be severed by geographical distance or official press releases alone. And eventual confrontation or reconciliation isn't an inevitable consequence of shared history. The underlying tension of this waiting period has been defined by a series of quiet, almost imperceptible shifts in public perception and institutional behavior. suggesting that beneath the rigid exterior of the palace walls, complex negotiations and deep personal reflections have been taking place. The global audience has watched this Cold War of sorts play out through carefully managed public appearances and highly calculated media strategies, where what is left unsaid often carries far more weight than what is explicitly stated. The atmosphere has been further complicated by the profound challenges facing the senior leadership of the monarchy, events that naturally force individuals to re-evaluate their priorities, their legacies, and the ultimate value of long-held animosities in the face of human vulnerability. When the foundational pillars of an institution are tested by circumstances beyond their control, the personal grievances that once seemed insurmountable often begin to appear secondary to the broader necessity of family unity and emotional closure. This internal calculation is precisely what has created the current climate of intense intrigue, as hints of a potential gathering begin to surface, suggesting that the long winter of total estrangement might finally be giving way to an uncertain spring. The mere possibility of a face-to-face meeting after such prolonged hostility creates a high-stakes environment where the potential for a breakthrough is just as real as the risk of an even deeper, more catastrophic misunderstanding, as we edge closer to the core of this unfolding narrative. The focus naturally shifts to the specific dynamics that have kept these prominent figures apart for so long, and the unique circumstances that are now drawing them back toward a common center. The narrative of a younger son charting his own course, challenging the established order, and exposing the internal pressures of a royal upbringing is a story that has resonated deeply with audiences worldwide, evoking mixed reactions of intense sympathy and harsh criticism. The public has been thoroughly divided, torn between those who view the departure as a courageous pursuit of personal freedom and those who see it as a profound betrayal of duty and heritage. This deep cultural division has created a volatile backdrop for any potential reunion, meaning that a return is never just a private family matter, but a massive public event with significant symbolic consequences for the reputation of the monarchy itself. The atmosphere is charged with a mix of anxiety and hope as advisors and commentators speculate on how a potential homecoming can be managed without triggering a renewed media storm that could undo months of careful diplomatic groundwork behind the scenes. The intricate chess pieces are being moved into position with absolute caution, reflecting the shared understanding that the margin for error is virtually non-existent, and that a single misstep could permanently shatter any fragile hopes of rebuilding trust across the board. The true nature of the impending encounter remains shrouded in secrecy, yet the subtle signs of preparation on both sides indicate that the stakes have been raised to an entirely new level, introducing a profound variable that could change everything. The anticipation building around this potential reunion is not merely about a simple greeting or a brief conversation, but about the symbolic weight of who might choose to stand together when the moment of truth finally arrives. For years, the narrative has been intensely focused on the direct relationship between a father and his estranged son, a deeply personal dynamic that has been fractured by public grievances and private heartbreaks. However, as the timeline for a potential visit draws nearer, the atmospheric pressure is shifting toward the broader implications of family representation, and whether an effort at rebuilding relationships will be treated as an isolated bridge between two men or as a comprehensive effort to heal the family unit as a whole. This subtle distinction changes the entire calculus of the event, transforming a private family check-in into a major public statement regarding the future alignment of everyone involved, and ensuring that the eyes of the entire world will remain fixed on the unfolding drama as it moves toward its highly anticipated and deeply unpredictable next phase. The long-standing standoff between the House of Windsor and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex entered a critical new phase as concrete plans materialized for a highly anticipated summer trip to the United Kingdom. At the center of this developing chapter is the revelation that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are preparing to bring their two children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, across the Atlantic for a visit that marks their first joint return to British soil since the solemn events of Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in September 2022. For years, the narrative of estrangement had frozen into a predictable pattern of long-distance tension, fueled heavily by the global fallout from Harry's explosive 2023 memoir, Spare, alongside a series of high-profile television interviews that severely damaged foundational relationships within the palace walls. While Prince Harry had made several brief solitary trips to London following King Charles III's cancer diagnosis, these encounters were hurried and strictly limited in scope, leaving the broader institutional rift completely untouched. The announcement of a full family journey, however, immediately shattered the status quo, shifting the focus from individual duty to a massive, high-stakes diplomatic effort aimed at navigating the complex emotional and structural undercurrents of the modern British monarchy. The stakes of this upcoming journey were fundamentally transformed by the perspective of prominent royal commentators and insiders, who noted that Meghan Markle's potent royal presence alongside her husband introduces an entirely new set of variables to the reconciliation equation. Prominent royal analyst Amanda Matter noted that while the Duchess's participation in these delicate gatherings has yet to be finalized, her mere inclusion in the travel plans signals a profound shift in how the Sussexes view the prospect of a family truce. According to experts, Meghan's presence would add an immense symbolic weight to any reunion, serving as a powerful public indicator that any effort toward rebuilding relationships must extend to the Sussex family as a whole, rather than being treated as a private arrangement between a father and his younger son. This shift does not necessarily make the practical path to peace any easier or more difficult, but it completely alters the baseline expectations, forcing both the palace establishment and the public to confront the reality that a partial resolution is no longer an option. The core challenge facing the family has never truly been centered on any single individual, but rather on the monumental task of rebuilding institutional and personal trust across the board after years of deeply publicized grievances, historically. The relationship between King Charles and his daughter-in-law has occupied a distinct and separate space from the far more volatile dynamic that exists between the monarch and Prince Harry. In the early days of her entry into the royal family, there were numerous clear indications that Charles made genuine concerted efforts to welcome Meghan into the fold, famously stepping in to walk her down the aisle during her 2018 wedding at St. George's Chapel amid intense family drama on her own side. However, the subsequent years of institutional friction and the couple's ultimate decision to step back from active royal duties in 2020 created a profound distance, leading to a deliberate retreat from UK public life by the Duchess. Insiders view this step back as an explicit acknowledgement that the ongoing tensions with the House of Windsor primarily stem from Harry's own deeply rooted issues with his upbringing and the hereditary system itself. The core complaints that the Duke has repeatedly raised, including relentless press intrusion and what he described as an emotionally stifling palace environment, were actively eroding his relationship with the institution long before he even met his future wife, painting a picture of an inevitable institutional clash that was merely accelerated rather than caused by their marriage in an effort to facilitate this high-stakes family reunion and see his grandchildren. King Charles III has reportedly extended a significant olive branch to the California-based couple, offering a gesture that carries both practical and symbolic importance. Reports surfaced indicating that the reigning monarch has invited the Sussex family to stay at a secure royal residence during their duration in town, a move that directly addresses one of the most contentious battlegrounds of the entire royal split. Since being requested to vacate their UK home at Frogmore Cottage, Prince Harry has frequently expressed severe anxieties regarding the safety and logistical security of his family while on British soil, leading to protracted legal battles over official police protection. By offering to personally oversee and manage their security arrangements within the perimeter of a royal estate, King Charles has effectively removed a major logistical roadblock, signaling a deep desire to build a bridge and ensure that Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet can safely reunite with their grandfather after years of forced separation. For King Charles, who is currently navigating the heavy burdens of state duties alongside ongoing medical treatments. The opportunity to connect with his youngest grandchildren is said to be a matter of immense personal priority. Prince Harry reportedly wants his children to grow up knowing their grandfather and understanding their heritage, a desire that has grown more urgent given the fragile health realities facing the senior leadership of the monarchy. Yet, this internal push for family unity exists alongside an incredibly complex public landscape, as the palace machinery must carefully calculate how to manage the optics of this highly sensitive return. The public frenzy that once characterized every movement of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex has considerably died down since their last tense public appearance, alongside Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, during the mourning period for the late Queen in 2022. The modern public generally understands that these familial relationships are extraordinarily complicated, possessing a far deeper knowledge of how the monarchy operates behind closed doors than ever before, which lowers the tolerance for superficial public relations displays. The greatest risk surrounding this delicate operation lies squarely in how the palace handles the messaging of this complex homecoming, as any misstep could trigger a renewed wave of public skepticism and media instability. If the public detects mixed signals from the institution, such as warm public statements of reconciliation juxtaposed against anonymous palace briefings detailing ongoing or renewed internal friction, it would instantly reinforce the impression that the royal family remains incapable of managing its unresolved internal crises. Such a scenario would project an image of institutional instability, suggesting that behind the grand facade of unity, the central players are still navigating deep, unresolved anger that they cannot successfully move past. While King Charles and Prince Harry appear genuinely committed to burying the hatchet for the sake of the family's future, the shadow of Prince William's total estrangement from his younger brother looms heavily over the entire process. The Prince of Wales remains deeply hurt by the public revelations of the past few years, creating a stark internal division within the palace, where one half of the monarchy is actively working toward peace, while the future heir remains firmly locked in a state of icy detachment, setting up a deeply tense environment for the final phase of this historic family gathering. The profound institutional and human significance of this impending cross-Atlantic journey extends far beyond the immediate logistics of royal security or the temporary filling of empty guest rooms within a historic estate. At its core, this reunion represents a pivotal crossroad for the modern British monarchy as it navigates one of the most transformative eras in its centuries-old existence, attempting to balance the rigid preservation of ancient traditions with the deeply human realities of family trauma and reconciliation. To fully understand why this moment carries such immense weight, one must look at the remarkable life paths of the principal figures involved, individuals whose private lives have been systematically transformed into global public properties. King Charles III, born in 1948 as the eldest son of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, spent more than 7 decades preparing for the throne, establishing himself as the longest-serving heir apparent in British history. His biography is defined by a complex dedication to institutional modernization, environmental advocacy, and the constant management of intense personal scrutiny. Now, reigning as a sovereign who is openly confronting significant health challenges while simultaneously guiding a global institution into an increasingly skeptical 21st century, Charles is acutely aware of the historical legacy he will eventually leave behind. For him, the division within his immediate family is not merely a private heartbreak, but a distinct vulnerability that threatens the cohesive, unified image that the monarchy requires to survive and retain its symbolic authority across the Commonwealth. In stark contrast stands his younger son, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, born in 1984, whose life journey has been a highly publicised struggle against the structural boundaries of his birthright. From the tragic and foundational loss of his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales, in 1997, through his 10 years of active service in the British Armed Forces, including 2 operational tours in Afghanistan. Harry's identity has been forged in environments that demanded extreme resilience, but offered very little space for personal vulnerability. His marriage to Meghan Markle in 2018 was initially celebrated as a historic moment of cultural modernization for the House of Windsor, bringing an accomplished, self-made American actress of biracial heritage into the heart of the British establishment. Born and raised in Los Angeles, California, Meghan had already established a successful career in the entertainment industry, holding a university degree in theatre and international studies and working extensively with global humanitarian organizations. Her rapid transition from the highly independent cultural landscape of Hollywood to the deeply conservative, protocol-driven environment of the British Palace created an immediate and powerful friction. The subsequent escalation of negative media coverage, combined with an internal atmosphere that the couple described as utterly unsupportive, culminated in their dramatic departure from senior royal duties in 2020. A historic separation that sent shockwaves through global society and created an unprecedented geographical divide. The true gravity of the upcoming family gathering in the United Kingdom lies in its potential to permanently reshape the emotional landscape for the youngest generation of the global dynasty. Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Born in 2019 and 2021 respectively, these children have spent their formative years almost entirely insulated within the sunlit independence of Montecito, California, growing up completely removed from the heavy ceremonial obligations, constant security cordons, and historical gravity that define the lives of their royal cousins in London. For Prince Archie, this journey represents a brief return to the land of his birth, while for young Princess Lilibet, it marks an essential introduction to a heritage and a grandfather she has only ever known through distant digital screens and brief video calls. Prince Harry's intense, burning desire to facilitate this physical reunion is deeply rooted in his own complex understanding of family legacy, despite his profound grievances with the institutional apparatus of the palace. He remains fiercely proud of his heritage and wants his children to possess a tangible connection to their grandfather and the history they are inherently a part of. For King Charles, the opportunity to gather his grandchildren around him within the secure walls of a royal residence offers a profound moment of personal solace, providing a rare space where the supreme titles of king and duke fade away. replaced entirely by the foundational roles of a grandfather and his grandchildren seeking to build a meaningful, lasting bond. However, the path toward a complete institutional and emotional resolution remains severely obstructed by the profound, icy estrangement between Prince Harry and his elder brother, Prince William, the Prince of Wales. As the direct heir to the throne, Prince William's biography is inextricably linked to the absolute preservation of the monarchy's dignity, stability, and unyielding privacy. The public exposure of private family conversations, detailed so vividly within the pages of the memoir Spare and throughout various international broadcast interviews, inflicted deep, structural wounds on a relationship that had previously been viewed as an unbreakable brotherhood forged in shared grief. William's perspective is shaped not just by personal hurt, but by a profound sense of institutional duty, viewing the public critiques launched from California as an existential threat to the reputation of the crown he is destined to inherit. This profound brotherly divide creates a dual reality within the contemporary palace establishment, establishing a complex dynamic where the reigning monarch is actively building bridges and offering significant olive branches, while the future king remains firmly committed to a policy of total, silent distance. This internal division ensures that any potential reconciliation during the upcoming summer visit will be a delicate, step-by-step process, focusing strictly on the father-son dynamic and the grandchildren, while leaving the fractured relationship between the two brothers as an unresolved challenge for a future era. The historical significance of this moment is further amplified when viewed against the backdrop of recent royal history, serving as a reminder of how previous generational rifts have permanently altered the trajectory of the British state. From the monumental abdication crisis of 1936, which reshaped the line of succession and placed Queen Elizabeth II's father on the throne, to the turbulent marital crises of the 1990s. The House of Windsor has repeatedly been forced to navigate moments where private personal choices collided directly with public institutional responsibilities. The current situation with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex represents the modern evolution of this perpetual struggle, taking place in an interconnected global digital ecosystem where public perception can shift within a matter of minutes. The upcoming visit to London is therefore a massive litmus test for the operational capability of the palace's modern communications strategy, requiring absolute precision to ensure that the private joy of a grandfather reuniting with his grandchildren is not completely overshadowed by a renewed media circus or conflicting anonymous briefings that project an image of internal chaos. The stakes could not possibly be higher, because the public's ultimate faith in the modern monarchy depends heavily on its ability to demonstrate grace, stability, and authentic human maturity when dealing with its own internal complexities, as the countdown to this historic summer journey begins. The eyes of the entire world remain firmly fixed on the quiet preparations taking place behind the closed doors of both Montecito and London. The potential presence of Meghan Markle, the direct involvement of Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, and the generous security and residential offers extended by King Charles all point toward a calculated, deeply significant effort to lower the operational temperature of a global family feud. Whether this highly anticipated encounter will mark the true, authentic beginning of a permanent royal reconciliation or simply serve as a brief, polite pause in a long-standing institutional separation remains to be seen. What is absolutely certain is that